Awesome. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. Daniela is here to tell us about Chateo, take us through the platform, teach us some tips and strategies and stuff that we could use in our classroom tomorrow. My name is Elisa Kirchhofer. I am the Director of Marketing with Idioma Education and Consulting, and we're super excited to partner with Daniela to bring you a little bit more about this really great resource. So go for it, Daniela.
Okay, thank you so much, Lisa. Hello and welcome, everybody. We're so happy to have you. As she said, I hope that we could share some new ideas and some new application of world language and global citizenship in your classroom. So with no further ado, as Elisa mentioned, please, if you don't mind, remain muted and we'll take questions at the end of this presentation. If anyone is interested in a copy of this presentation, you could scan that if you have your phone handy. At the end, I will try my best to put, or maybe I could do it now. I could put that link into the chat at the end of class, at the end of the presentation. So you could access it that way if you don't have your phone handy. Okay, so hopefully if you have a phone, you could scan that. If not, I will post that link. So let me first start off by introducing myself. My name is Daniela Panasci. I've been a Spanish and Italian teacher for the last 19 years in Long Island, New York. I teach mostly the secondary level, mainly 7th and 8th grade at our middle school. And I'm also the founder and creator of chateoapp.com, which is a world language communication platform that focuses on using those 3 modes of communication to foster global citizenship in our classrooms. So first, I'd like to start off by asking you, what brings you here? What about global citizenship and world language? What makes you interested in that, and what brought you to this workshop? So if you could maybe present or share some ideas in the chat. And Elisa, if you don't mind, would you monitor the chat for me and just tell us why some of these participants are here this evening?
Absolutely.
If anyone cares to share. Anything yet? No?
I'm looking for my chat button.
Oh, at the bottom.
Sorry.
The chat button's at the
or if you feel it was easier, unmute. Just certainly you could unmute.
We can just say it out loud too if you want. Amy says she's taking a course about world readiness standards.
Oh, okay. Definitely. We'll bring up those standards without a doubt in this presentation, and we'll see how global citizenship can definitely help to boost those standards and get your students communicating. Any other reasons?
Yep. Stephanie says communication is what life's about.
Absolutely, Stephanie, without a doubt. It's all about communication, and we could probably solve a lot more problems in this world if we're all able to communicate with each other.
Sunshine says, I'm interested in learning how to get students to communicate with each other in target language more effectively.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more, Sunshine. It is a struggle as a world language teacher to get these kids to speak and engage with one another in the target language. And I'm hoping today or tonight I could share how to do that with Chateo. All really great ideas. You're in the right place, everybody. And I hope you get a lot out of this presentation. So with no further ado, let me share my goals for you tonight. My teacher goals are, number 1, to share how Chateo can help you use those 3 modes of communications to foster global citizenship. And I really hope you're excited about using Chateo and feel confident that it's going to help your students use the target language. My other goal is to just share with you a new perspective, a new way that we can look at world language and teach world language so that the content is more relevant, it's more engaging, and more purposeful for our students who are screaming for that right now. We are failing to meet their curiosities in the academic realm, and we can do that much more effectively if we start incorporating global citizenship into our classrooms. In addition, I thought about your students, and I said, all right, they're going to go back to the classroom. What do I want them to bring to their students? And I'm hoping that through this workshop, you're able to amplify the use of target language in your classroom, and hopefully your students are feeling more willing to use the target language because they want to say what's in their heart. They want to say something that means a lot to them. And once you have that desire as a student, and hopefully as a teacher, you could foster that desire, they will start using the language because they want to, not because they have to. The other thing I hope you bring back to your students is this idea of feeling inspired and empowered with language, that you can actually do something. You can make a difference in this world. And we'll learn later that our students today, the 21st century student today, wants to make a difference. And there's a big gap there between what we're doing in our classroom, what's going on in the world, and the students in the middle wanting to learn to make a difference. And hopefully I could show you tonight how to fill that gap in the world language classroom. So let me start off with my teaching philosophy, which greatly impacted why I created Chateo. When I created Chateo, I was envisioning students seeing the world as a place that needs, well, we all see the world as a place that needs help, but I wanted them to envision the world as a place where they can make a difference with their language. I also want to use the way I teach to empower them with language. I want them to see what a tool language is. I want them to see how much they can connect with people and solve problems with their language. And finally, I want to show them how to execute that in the world, because students today do not want to learn about the language. They could do that on YouTube. They don't need us to teach us verb charts. They don't need us for vocab lists. They could get all that, click, watch a video for the next 6 months, and you can learn Spanish, French, Mandarin, Hebrew, whatever it is. But they come to the classroom because they want to learn, what can I do with this? And my vision of how I apply world language and how I interact with my students is to show them there's a plan here. And I hope I'm planting the seed so that one day you can execute some of these positive actions we talked about in class. So my philosophy is really going beyond that vocab and grammar and connecting with the world, the real world, and what the world needs right now. So when I approach my classroom, my instruction, that's what I'm thinking: envision, empower, and execute. So I want to take a moment now and just have you think about the world language classroom now. And we've been through a lot with the pandemic and lots of different changes that have happened in the classroom. But I want you to think about what shifts are happening in the classroom, or what shifts have you noticed, particularly with your students. I'm sure some of you who have been teaching for a decade or more have noticed a significant change in the student from 10 years ago to now. I want you to think about the materials that are out there, the materials that you're using. I want you to think about the standards, and then I want you to think about the context in which you're teaching. And if you want to, if you feel comfortable, share in the chat or unmute, share about what shifts you're seeing, because that's going to definitely play a role in how you're using Chateo.
Stephanie says short attention spans.
Absolutely. Without a doubt, Stephanie, I could completely agree. And it doesn't help that they have the Chromebook in front of them and they're able to, get lost on the internet immediately. At least in my district, they all have Chromebooks. So that's a battle every day. I hear you, Stephanie.
She also says they want instant access and instant response. And Mihaela says they need to be constantly entertained.
Absolutely. This is, I'm seeing this all as well. I couldn't agree with all of you more. And hopefully tonight with Chateo, you'll see that they will, when you start exploring these bigger topics and you're showing them how to use the language, they will be interested more. They won't be on the wrong tab playing basketball bros or chess, whatever they're doing, everything but paying attention to your lesson, right? The reason why they're going on those sites, well, first, it's easy. But secondly, it's because they're not engaged in the topic. They don't find it meaningful and useful for them. And that is certainly a major shift in the classroom that I'm certainly seeing, and I'm sure all of you are when it comes to the students. They are certainly not engaged as much as we saw maybe years prior. But I think we all, there's another one? Sure.
Well, yes, Stephanie's adding to that too. And I also was just thinking as you were saying that, what students want to know why they're learning this and what they can do with it right now. Our students aren't just compliant anymore. They want to be partners in their learning. Mihaela also says they have little interest for discovery and reflection and less apparent inference.
Couldn't agree with me more. This is all, I'm seeing it as well. And that's what prompted me to take action. I just can't take it anymore. And I had to do something. And that's why I created Chateo. Not only, I think we're seeing a big shift in the students, but if you think about the materials that you're using, they're not fulfilling. If you're using a textbook or perhaps handouts, it's not matching up to what they want or keeping them engaged anymore. And if we think about a context in which we're teaching, some of the context that we were originally using maybe 10 years ago, 5 years ago, we like to use what works, right? But we're seeing that the student is saying, no, thank you, I'm not into that. And you're not getting that response that you were normally getting maybe 5-10 years ago. So with that said, I think there's another thing that we're seeing a major shift, and I like to call it we're catching up with communication. We all can't deny the explosion of communication. We all can agree that the world language classroom is all about communication. So the real world is snapping and chatting and TikToking and texting and emailing and sending voice recordings and sharing videos. What's happening in our classrooms? I feel like, at least within the colleagues around me, we're like catching up with that. And I think that we have a valid reason why our classrooms and the real world are not really matching up. As a teacher, I was reluctant myself to use technology and to try applying these new forms of communication. One, because I was thinking, is that really safe? Like, who's coming into the chat room? Who's gonna be emailing me? It just was an issue of privacy and safety for me, number one. Number two, how does it fit in? Does it really work with my lesson? I don't know if it's really gonna flow, and if it's gonna be a productive activity based on whatever I'm doing in my class. And then finally, accessibility was an issue as well. Do students have an email account? Do they know how to text? These were all things that were going through my mind. And I feel like we're, as world language teachers, we're not utilizing these forms of communication as much as we should be to align with what's happening in their lives and how they're communicating. So I took that into consideration as well when I created Chateo, and I really wanted to make a space where they're utilizing technology they're friendly with. So I want you to take a second and think just to yourself. You don't have to post in the chat. If you want to, you can. But how are your students using the target language? Not to toot, turn and talk. Turn and talk is like every single day in my classroom. It's so effective. It's quick. I love it. And you know what? There's something to be said about face-to-face communication. It's definitely a skill students need to work on and develop, and we're totally going to continue to do that in our classrooms. I'm just suggesting maybe we should start incorporating more texting, video sharing, voice sharing, maybe even emojis, all to help us communicate in the target language. So just take a second and think, am I really applying these? And if you are, wonderful. If you're not, consider, how can I incorporate that so I can meet what's really how our students are communicating? Most of our students are using these forms of communication. So just think about that. And as you're thinking about that and pondering voice recordings and video recordings, text chat, even digital documents, I think when world language teachers think about technology, they think about these apps or these programs that are teaching the kids learning about language, fill in the blank, memorize vocabulary, grammar checks. That's not Chateo. Chateo is really technology for them to use the language. I want to provide a digital space where students have the opportunity to share their language, experiment, use what they're learning in class in a community of other students that are learning the language as well. So I think it's time for us to start looking at technology, and we're so over technology, right? Between the pandemic, who wants another app? Who wants another website? We're sick of it, right? We're like, up to here. I don't want to do it. We're done, right? And I think that's because it's really not fulfilling the needs of the kids. Like, they're done too. They don't want to do another Duolingo, and they're tired of that. But I do think that they would be interested in using technology as a place to use their language. And that's the hope for Chateo. It's really a spot to use your language. So let me give you a little more detail on how Chateo works. It is a private and closed network that mimics social media. It is a communication platform, and it's just for your students, just for your classrooms. So it's you and your students, and that's it. So it's very safe and private. And the way you monitor is you check the student's name. Is that a student from my district? You could tell by the email that they're signing up with. and you can either allow them access into your classroom or not. So it's very safe. It's just you and your kids. And like I said, I wanted to provide a space where students had an opportunity to practice their language skills, exchange language, all in this social media realm that they're very used to, whether they're going to text, they're going to send a video, they're going to send a voice recording. I wanted to mimic what they're doing in the real world, but using world language. So the idea for Chateo came up, but I said I needed to be a little more inviting and a little more interesting for them. And that's where I incorporated the global citizenship, because it's so important that they're talking about things that matter to them, that matter to the community, and that matter to the world. So I incorporated this idea of global citizenship. So I said, all right, now I have a community of learners, but this is not going to work unless I have the teachers on board. So thank you all for joining us this evening, because hopefully you'll be the first members of the Chateo Teacher Forum. And that Teacher Forum is really for educators that want to advance world language. And we invite you to use our forum to share lesson ideas, perhaps post authentic resources, and maybe an action plan. Like, this is what I did with my students. For example, I had one teacher share that she did this whole lesson on fast fashion and how it's bad for the environment. And at the end of that unit, after they learned about fast fashion and communicating and using the language to solve this problem of fast fashion, she decided that she made a clothes drive where you were donating clothes, and they did the whole drive in the target language. And at the end, the whole school donated clothes, and they were able to take action. And she shared that on the Chateo Teacher Forum. I'm going to be very honest with you. Chateo is not a place where you're going to go and find pre-made speaking activities and click, 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 my lesson's done for tomorrow. It's not that. It's actually a place where you can go, you could think, you could find resources, and then you could create and mold what you want your students to do in a communicative task. So again, it's a digital space where you use the language. And it's not you will find lesson ideas, but we offer you 3 assignment builders, and it's up to you to be creative with that. As many of you are, I'm sure you're spending hours looking for authentic resources, and you're still tweaking lesson plans to make sure that it's just right. And what do you really want them to accomplish? We do this already as world language teachers. I'm just providing the digital space for you and your students to execute that. So that's Chateo in a nutshell. I'd like to talk a little bit about the philosophy behind Chateo and the idea of building this community. So if you want your students to use the target language, it's so important that it is in a low anxiety environment, and an environment where risks are encouraged. So that is really the root of the Chateo community. I often ask, I have an introductory video that I share with teachers that say, show this to your students, because I want them to understand when they're using this program, we're a part of a community. We are all learning the language together. You're going to make a mistake. Joey's going to make a mistake. Marsha's going to make a mistake, and that's okay, because we're in this bubble together, learning and growing and progressing, and we celebrate you just trying. So that's wonderful. This is all part of our philosophy and how we build a community. We also encourage voice and choice. We want students to find their voice, but we want them to have a choice in how they express themselves. So we offer those 3 modes of sharing language, whether you want to text to chat, which is very comfortable for some students. You could use your voice, or you could use a video. So we provide that flexibility. And more, as I'm using Chateo and my colleagues as well, we're initially seeing students say, oh, totally want to use text to chat. I'm not talking, right? But little by little, by the time we hit probably April, they're willing to voice record, or maybe for a project, they're feeling more comfortable posting a video, because we established this community that it's okay if you make a mistake, because I'm going to make a mistake, and he's going to make a mistake, and she's going to make a mistake, and it's okay. It's fine. And they become more comfortable using the language in this bubble where they're already used to the technology. This is how we communicate. This is how I talk to my friends already. I'm just doing it in this bubble with my classroom. We also encourage small increments of language. And the reason why we encourage those small increments of language is because we want students to really speak from the heart. We want them to be creative and authentic with their language. We don't want them to memorize the language. Here, 10 sentences, memorize it, and you don't even know what you're saying. You're just a robot talking. This is what it says on the paper. We'd rather have the student use small increments of language that they created. This is me trying to say what's here. This is what I want to say. And it's genuine. And we actually ensure that by the max recording will be 1 minute long, which at a lower level is quite a long time to speak in 1 minute in the target language. But you'll notice that if the recording goes over a minute, it won't upload. It's too long. We want short little increments of language because we want genuinely you using your language. We don't want you reading off of something. It should be them honestly and genuinely using the language. We also want to provide opportunities for students to level up, which means we want them to know that you might be here on the proficiency scale, but know that next time, if you did typing or you use the text chat, maybe next time you could level up and use voice recording or video, kind of get yourself out of that comfort zone, or try to go use more of your language. There's always this idea that I can do better. I can try a little harder in using the target language. Most important to our philosophy is we communicate to help others, and I'll go into that a little more as we explore the global citizen aspect of Chateo. And another important aspect is that idea of progress, not perfection. We're all in this together and we're trying. The other aspect, which is the root of our community, is this idea of proficiency awareness. We encourage teachers to share that proficiency skills with students so they know, I'm here, I gotta go there. I'm sure you're all familiar with the Actifelt performance indicator, that cone that they provide for the novice, intermediate, and advanced levels. I share that with my students, and I'll say, where are you on the cone after a Chateo assignment? Where did you feel? Did you move up? Did you stay? What happened? And it helps them to strive and understand this is a process. Language is a process, and I'm here, but I know I could go there. We also encourage you to explain what the 3 modes of communication, so they understand what they're doing when you're assigning a communicative task. Oh, it's interpretive. I'm supposed to show where I understand. Or, oh, it's interpersonal. Yay, I get to talk to my friend. We're going to have a spontaneous conversation. Or it's presentational. Oh, this is where I really have to apply myself and really make sure my language is polished and it's for the appropriate audience. Once they understand those modes of communications, you'll see that you're providing them more purpose. You're giving them more reason for what you're doing in class, and that really helps to build the community as well. Student self-assessment is huge. We encourage you to ask the students, like I said, where are you on the cone? You could do a quick, how was it? How did you feel after, trying that Chateo assignment? Was it thumbs up, thumbs down, really quick? Show me, 5 fingers, it was awesome. 4, it wasn't good. 3, I really had some trouble with that. Just quick self-assessment. Let them know that they're constantly should be evaluating where they are on that scale. And then finally, we're going to create rubrics for the Chateo, the speaking tasks. Those are forthcoming. But the rubrics that we use really focus on objectives and communication and not so much grammar. Remember, the whole idea is let's not worry about the mistakes. Let's just try. Let's get them talking. And the language would evolve and improve naturally just from them using the language. So we are encouraging rubrics that focus on tasks and the objective and not the grammar. Okay, so this leads us to, we're doing all this for the community and the kids, but who are our kids? Because they've changed a lot, as you noted at the beginning of this workshop. Well, in front of us, as you might know, are the Generation Z and Alpha students. And up on that screen, I have some words that describe who Generation Z and Alpha students are. And you might be looking at some of those words and say, that's not my student. My student doesn't want to collaborate. My student is not looking to be informed, or is not curious. That's not, well, that is your student, actually. And we're not meeting their needs. If you look on the right there under those images of the students there on their devices, you might be connecting more with those words, like you find your students unengaged, lazy, complacent, bored, unmotivated, as you said at the beginning of the workshop. And that's because we're not engaging them, and we're not motivating them, and we're boring them. And we're doing that because we are not giving them what they need, and what they want is much more from education than we're giving them. So I wanted to share with you some more facts about Gen Z and Gen Alpha so you could understand where our students are coming from and what's important to them. So 60% of Gen Z want to change the world. Hello, that's more than half of your students want to change the world. They have this desire. I'm going to do it. I'm going to make a difference. I'm going to change the world. And amen to you. I hope you do. And if I can have anything to do with it, I'm going to give you as much education and knowledge to do it in Spanish and Italian, because that's my goal. I want to help you. So we know that students want to make a difference. 20% of Gen Z would take a 10 to 20% pay cut to help someone and to make a positive impact. That tells me so much about the kid in front of me, that they would rather help someone than make money. That's like, wow, you're awesome. And let's do this. I want to help you achieve that goal. 1 in 5 Gen Alpha kids have been on a march or a protest about something they care about. Think about that they're getting involved. They want to collaborate. They're passionate. They're curious, and they want to share their voice. They have something to say. They're not, I'm shy. I don't want to say anything. No, they actually want to be involved. They want to be heard. And finally, research is showing that we're going to see a new wave of activists coming in the next few years. And that's because these students have something to say. They want to get involved, and we should be doing everything to meet those needs. So hopefully we're recognizing that we have students in front of us that simply just want more out of their education. They simply don't want to learn about the language. They want us to show them how to use the language. They're coming in well-informed. They want to have these discussions, and they want to have meaningful discussions. They want to be a part of a community. They want to make connections. They want to volunteer. They want to be involved. And we can do all that in the world language classroom. I can't think of a more perfect place than world language to do all this. So with that said, I'm suggesting that perhaps we need to recalibrate our classrooms a little bit. And we need to recalibrate them with 3 things in mind: perspective, purpose, and community. And I'll expand on that on the next slide. When I hear a student say, I don't know why I'm learning this, I'm never going to use Spanish, Hebrew, Mandarin, whatever you're teaching, that is, in 2024, we should never hear a child say that, because they need to change that perspective. They need to understand what a tool world language is, how necessary it is for the 21st century. And if our education system and our administrators and our guidance counselors and us as teachers are not communicating that, we're failing them. We're not educating them properly. We're not making them world ready. So I think number one, students need to understand you need language, period. You want to interact, you want to help, you want to make a difference in the world, you're going to need language. So if your students ask you, why do I need Spanish? Do you want to make a difference? Do you want to help somebody? Do you want to change the world, solve a problem? Well, you need language. So that's the number one perspective we need to change, and we need to have students really agree with that and really dig into that yes, I need world language. 2 is purpose. And I want purpose to really, I want them to understand that language is a superpower. If you want to take positive action, you're going to do it through language. And that language that you have will help you make connections. It'll help you actually connect with who you are as well. As many of you know who speak other languages, you kind of have a different personality when you speak a different language. In English, I tend to be more academic. Spanish, I'm a little more sassy. And Italian, I'm a little more passionate when I speak. And these are all the personalities that I realize, ooh, there's layers to me. I'm sure if you take a second and think about, when I speak French or when I speak Hebrew, I'm a little different. I like to share that with students because there's a purpose to learning a language. It's not, okay, you want to help someone, that's wonderful. But you know what? You could help yourself too. You could find out who you are, because when you explore language, you're exploring deeper layers of yourself. So there should be a lot of purpose and empowerment when we're talking about language. And finally, we want to really establish that community that's empathetic, that finds cultural awareness and global awareness important to them. And we want them to know that language could be a tool to help people, which is an incredible community. If we could do that in every school, what a world we would have, what seeds we would plant for the future, and what change we might see in the coming years. So I think it really has to start with a little tweak of how we operate and how we approach language instruction: perspective, purpose, and community. With that said, I found this quote and touched me. I was like, this is what it's at. So it's from the book, The Little Princess, and it says, perhaps there is a language which is not made of words, and everything in the world understands it. Perhaps there is a soul hidden in everything, and it can always speak without making a sound to another soul. And I think that's, at least, oh, I get a little choked up thinking about it. I think that's really what education should be. And that's really what world language is about. If you really peel back it all, we're really just trying to connect with other people. And if we can find a way to get on that level where the kids understand that there's more than vocab here, there's more than grammar, there's the possibility that you could really touch someone and make a difference, that's wisdom. That's what we're giving them. We're giving them wisdom. So I found that quote very empowering and really gets down to the root of what we're doing in our classroom and what I hope Chateo brings out in your classroom. So with that said, Chateo, speaking tasks really matter. And for us, it's all about global citizenship and going beyond that vocab and grammar. So how do I do that? How do I get these how do I get them to feel it? How do I get them to be empathetic? It starts with the topics, okay? So on the list to your left, we have a list of suitable topics for world language. And if you take a look at that list, you could kind of see, oh, you know what? I could add that in my weather unit. Yeah, I could totally add that in the health and wellness unit. You could find little places where you could kind of pop this in to enrich your curriculum. I will say that if you are going to use that list and you want to start incorporating global citizenship, you certainly need to find authentic resources and really explore the target culture and the communities and the people there, so you could get an understanding of what's happening, boots on the ground, what's happening in their communities, and use those authentic resources to show them, to teach them, and to pull your vocab and to pull your grammar and to give them the language they need to explore and consider problem solving and how they could connect and understand the people and their challenges. Now, if you look at that list also, you might get a little scared. You might get a little intimidated. Ooh, diversity. Oh, social justice, human rights, right? They're intimidating. Totally understand it. You want to, we are walking on eggshells as it is in the classroom. I don't want to open up a can of worms. Just, no, I don't want it. And I get it. There's some teachers that say, nope, no, thank you. I'm not going there. But if I could offer you some advice, if you approach these topics through the lens of kindness. Okay, kids, we're going to talk about poverty today. And the reason why we're talking about poverty is because we are going to use our language to help people that might not have as much as we do. Or with human rights and social justice. We're going to talk about social justice and human rights, but we're not going to debate it. We are going to learn how to use our language, to be kind to one another, to understand people's problems, and to show them empathy. So we always want to approach these topics through kindness. We're not here to debate. We're not here. You can have your opinion. I could have mine. But when we're using the language, we're really exploring the target culture, their challenge, and how we can help. Do I understand what you said about what's going on in your community? And I want to help you. So it doesn't become this debate. And I know some of those topics can be a little intimidating, but I assure you, in my experience, and I've been doing this for almost 4 years, I really haven't encountered any issues, knock wood. Nothing really. As long as you do it through the idea of we're here to help and here to be kind and understand one another, you really shouldn't have any issues. But you never know. You know, the classroom's a crazy place and anything can happen. But kindness is the way to go. And this will certainly enrich your curriculum. And I hope you explore those topics and try to figure out how I can, wiggle in some of these ideas and get them using the language, hopefully on Chateo. So once you've incorporated those ideas, you help the student find their voice. Oh, I want to talk about that. I have something to say. Me. Call on me, because now they're interested. They want to talk about it. And if we incorporate those 3 modes, now we got students that want to express their views, their opinions, and we're giving them a mechanism, an avenue to do that. I'm going to show you how you can do that. You want to use your language? You have an idea? Okay, hold that thought. This is how you're going to do it. So with those topics, we help our students find their voice. And here we go with that empowerment. We show them, hey, see, we're going to talk about this. Are you interested? Let's get you using this language. Let's get you thinking about how you can problem solve. And we're inspiring that positive action. So I'd like to take a minute, if you want to just stop and think, what strategies or maybe some activities are you using right now in your classroom that go beyond vocab and grammar? Are you touching upon any of those topics? Are you exploring global citizenship? And if you are, I'd love to hear about what you're doing in your classrooms. You want to use the chat, unmute, it's up to you. But I'm interested to see what's your idea of going beyond vocab and grammar.
I know in my classroom, I did a lot of PACE model, grammar in context. So as opposed to relying on a textbook necessarily in that rote grammar instruction.
That's a great example of going beyond that vocab and teaching in context. It's so important, that teaching in context. And essentially, when we're incorporating global citizenship, we're taking a context and we're teaching it. So it's right on point, Elisa. Was that Elisa?
Yeah.
Like, oh.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, so I couldn't agree with you more. That's a perfect example of how you can go beyond vocab and grammar and hopefully inspire some of our kids to think outside of the box and to see there's more value in language than they thought.
Stephanie says, I just had students look at pet rescue sites and choose a pet in groups that we could sponsor.
Fantastic. Love that. Wonderful. And in fact, tonight I'm going to show you, we have a whole, on the teacher forum, a whole animal protection or animal like rescue thing where teachers can post different resources. So if you have a resource that you'd like to post, please share it. It was a French resource?
Stephanie teaches French, so
yes. So any language, can be posted there. If you'd like to share that resource on the Chateo forum, that would be fantastic. And share, this is what I did, because teachers do need ideas. How can I go beyond this vocab and grammar? And I hope that the Chateo forum becomes that place where teachers go to like, I want to talk about this. How are you doing it? So thank you for sharing, Stephanie. That's an excellent idea and way to go beyond the vocab and grammar. Any other ideas? That was it? Okay. So with that said, I hope you're kind of seeing that there's like a magic formula here. When we take the 3 modes and we're using technology that they're used to using to communicate, and we add that special sprinkle, that fairy dust of global citizenship, boom, we get students wanting to be creative, authentic, and really using the language with purpose, and they will speak. They will use the language and they will use it willingly. So how do we do that on Chateo? Like, I want to do this. How do I use it? So I'm going to go through our 3 assignment builders, and I'll show you how to use those and hopefully give you a better idea of how you can implement this in your classroom. So hopefully I've established the idea of setting up this community where errors are okay. We're all in this together. We're all learning and growing. Now that they get the idea of Chateo, let's show them how to experiment with the language. So the speak up task, which is one of our assignment builders, is really a place I envisioned it for them to kind of like get their feet wet, just to kind of like a sample of language. Let me see what I can do. Let me just get comfortable with language. So we do that through the interpretive mode. And for those of you who might not know the interpretive mode, I thought this was an excellent chart provided by Leslie Grant in her new book, The Keys to Strategy of Language Instruction. I actually just finished working with her on facilitating a book study on this book. It's a fantastic book. I highly recommend it. Made by a world language teacher for a world language teacher, and it really hits on the 21st century language classroom. So highly recommend it. Anyway, the speak up is supposed to elicit the interpretive mode. So I take a second and kind of think about, all right, how are my kids using the interpretive mode right now? And are they using it in a cultural rich way? When you're asking them to be in the interpretive mode, are you exposing them to culture? Are you asking them to really identify and show they understand? And is it within a context that they could maybe make some logical guesses and not have to strain themselves to use language? Because again, the speak up should be like a comfortable area where we're just getting started. I don't want a lot from you. I just want you to show me you understand. So some keys to the interpretive mode and some guidelines that you want to think about when you're creating a speak up is that you should certainly always be using an authentic resources. They are so key to the interpretive mode to incorporate that culture and get them seeing the community and the target language used by native speakers. You also want to use binary questions. Again, we don't want a lot from them language-wise. We're just kind of exposing them and introducing them to this new vocabulary or this new grammar. So you want to try questions like yes, no, true, false, agree, or disagree. And on the Chateo forum, that's not going to look like very much, but it is an opportunity for the kids to use the language. You have them all saying yes, or you have them all saying no. You have them saying, I don't agree. I agree. That's a start. That's something, and everyone's saying something. So it starts off very slow. When you're using the speak up assignment, you also want to make sure that you're making the task investigative. Again, you don't want a lot from them communication wise. You want them to look at whatever you're showing them, whether it's a visual, an audio, maybe a question, just a piece of writing. You want them to be looking and thinking and getting those wheels turning. What do I notice? What do you infer? What do you understand? It's an opportunity for them to just kind of get their feet wet and start exploring the language. So I wanted to share with you a way that I use just this recently with my, this is with my 7th and 8th grade students, how I was using the interpretive mode. So I was in my health and wellness unit and I said, all right, what topic can I incorporate that's going to get them to speak? Now, keep in mind, I'm at level 1. So I kind of have to go through the process of, let me teach you the body parts, you know, aches and ailments, the feelings. I have to go through that process. And you could certainly use Chateo to do that. But Chateo really comes to life when you start incorporating these social and global issues. And in this unit, I decided to incorporate mental health, which is a very, very interesting and something kids really want to talk about. They find it an interesting topic and something that they can really relate to. So I decided to incorporate mental health. And you can see here from these images, these are some of the images I posted in the forum to elicit a response, whether it was, you know, how do you feel? Oh, how is Frida feeling? So I used Hispanic artwork, and Frida Kahlo really just worked so well with the health and wellness unit. As you can see, a lot of body parts and aches and ailments in her work. But if you look at the yellow image here, which is kind of like an infographic, a little biography on Frida Kahlo, I posted that and I wanted them to look at the words. Obviously, I don't expect them to understand everything, but I wanted them to answer the question. And with the assignment, I posted, ¿Quién es Frida Kahlo? Who is Frida Kahlo? And you're getting all these responses about, you know, she's an artist, like artista, they put in the forum, or they write esposa, she's a wife, or she's an activist. So we were getting this chatter that you normally wouldn't get in a classroom setting because now they felt comfortable, you know, text to chatting. And it was all right there for us all to see. Everyone's on Chateo and we're all seeing all these texts come in about Frida Kahlo and this input I was providing them. You could do the same thing with the images, you know, how is she feeling? What's hurting her? And it's quick little language that shows me you understand and you're starting to use the language. So there's an example.
Sorry, can I interrupt you first?
Sure.
Stephanie, it's a quick question. Can
Sure.
they see them directly where they are working or have to open them in another tab?
They can see it directly. The only thing, sometimes if the Wi-Fi is a little sketchy in your building, they'll have to refresh. But you should be able to see it all pop up, boop, 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 everyone's response.
Great.
Sometimes you could even do it as a homework assignment because sometimes it's a little annoying to have to refresh because I have Wi-Fi issues in my building myself, and we do have to constantly refresh. But as a homework assignment, everyone can post their little you know, response, and then we come back in the morning and we say, oh, like let's open up the forum and let's see what we thought about Frida Kahlo, or let's see what we thought about the image I posted, and you can see everyone's work there. And what's great is that you can reply to their work too. So you know, you're a part of the forum too. And I'll show you an example of this. Like you could actually see it in action, I think on the next slide. But that's kind of the idea of the interpretive or the speak up task. That's how I envision teachers use it. If you come across another way to use it, please share in the teacher forum. We know teachers always help teachers, and we're always looking for new and fresh ideas. So I wanted to share with you some other examples, and this is directly from the website. Again, we're talking about Frida Kahlo, and like I said, I teach level 1. So I'm like really going through the motions. I have to teach them the grammar from, you know, square one. So I want to show you as a teacher how I'm doing that. Again, we were looking at works of art. So here are some famous Spanish works of art. And they all incorporate the body parts. So I showed them these images. I gave them some of the vocab. And then, oh, this was the salud mental. And then I asked them to talk about it. So they had this. It's almost like a chat mat. And then I asked them to talk about, like, use your language. Let's try. So, oh, I have to I'm sorry. I have to change one of the settings here so you can actually hear, present something else, what they said here. This one. Okay, so let's see if this works. It worked before.
En la frente tiene la cabeza de su esposo.
Okay, that's like, again, it's short. It was not like she didn't read from anything. That all she had was those little words in front of her, and she synthesized the language. Were you able to hear that?
Yes. Yep.
Yes.
We can
Okay.
hear it.
So you see that she posted her response, and then yellow is where the teacher is. So I'm able to give her feedback right there. I'm using my emojis. I'm telling her, absolutely fantastic Spanish. Keep it up. You're doing great. And you could see all the other students had their little post, but we're having everyone speak, which is so great. And I'm able to hear everybody, and I'm able to give feedback. And again, it's just them looking. They're culturally exposed. It's just, we're bringing it all together on the forum. So that's one idea. Let me go back to my presentation. Sorry, this is a little crazy, but I'm doing it. Oh, no, I have to go here. And we're going to do entire screen. And this. Okay. I shouldn't have done that. So let me show you how. Oh, I did show you that. Now I'm going to show you another example of a speak up. This one is about how to live a more healthy life. And this one's a little more complicated than the last one. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have closed that out. Forgive me. This is like crazy. So we're going to hide this. We're going to stop sharing. I'm going to present Vida Más Sana, this one. This one, yeah. Okay, so here's an example of oh no, that's a say what. Okay, let me just go on to the next one. I'm sorry. Hopefully you have an idea of how the speak up works. I'm going to go back to my presentation, the entire screen. Okay. Hide, boom. Okay. So we're just giving them a snippet or an introduction. It's just an area to practice, nothing intense. It's okay if you make a mistake. And it allows students to really experience and experiment with the language. That's really how I envision the speak up. Another idea, just thinking out loud. You have a question? I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Another question. Stephanie says, and can respond to each other, correct?
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you for pointing that out, Stephanie. They can also, it's not just me responding to them. They can respond to each other, but that would be more for the interpersonal or say what assignment. The speak up is just give me something and don't worry about, you don't have to respond to everybody. This is just you trying. But we will get to the exchanging between peers on a say what. Let me go on to the next slide. The next few slides, it's going to be a lot of information. I'm not going to go through it all. If you do have the copy of the presentation, you will see all the different activities that are interpretive that could be used on a speak up. So I've highlighted some in that pink color that I particularly like the know, want to know and learn. You show an image of something and they're going to tell you, I know, like maybe it's an image of someone sitting in an airport. And I know that this is an aeropuerto. I know that this is an airport. So they write aeropuerto. I see a suitcase. So they write maleta. I want to know where is he going. So they're writing all of these little prompts. And it's little bits of language. And then they could, they could say, oh, you know what? I looked up the word for airport traveler. And they could write, I learned traveler. And it's just little snippets of language that they're showing I'm trying, I'm experimenting with the language. So I'm not going to go through all of these slides, but there are a ton. I have actually 3 slides. Here are some more activities you could do on the interpretive, with the interpretive mode. Have them create a hashtag or a title. So you show them a quick YouTube short or YouTube video, and then just have them in the forum make a hashtag for this video. And that's their little interpretive. They just they make a little, this is what my hashtag would be. And it's just, again, a chance for them to try to use the language. It's no pressure. It's very light. It's almost like an introduction, like just get your feet wet. Everything's okay. They could even do a logical guessing. Again, you could show them a little excerpt you want them to read, and they just have to logically guess what's that cognate mean? And they're going to post it. I think this word means this, and it's no pressure. Let's just create this community that we're exploring and trying to understand the language we're studying. Another idea is music. You could post a clip of music and have them note words or phrases just right in the forum. I heard this. Or maybe you ask them, what's this song about? And they'll write, I think this song is about love. I think this song is about heartache. Whatever it is, you just give them these little prompts to engage and start to use the language. Infographics. You could also do infographics where you could start exploring the 3 Ps. Give them something, as if you don't know what an infographic is, it really, it's information in a graphic form, but very often it does capture the target culture. So you could have them explore, what product do you see? What practices do you see? What perspectives do you see? And it's just a chance for them to think in the target language and use the target language. Think, wonder is another idea. You post an image. What do you see? What do you think? What are you wondering? And they just post it. Post a picture of a person and try to figure out that person's viewpoint. What do you think this person is feeling? What happened to this person today? And again, you just have them use little bits of language that they're sharing on that forum in the community with their peers. What the Speak Up is really, what's essential to the Speak Up is the context and the resources that you're using. So let's take a second and think about authentic resources. I'm sure you've heard this word before. It's a very hot buzzword now. Everyone's looking for authentic resources. But think, why do you use authentic resources? Is it just because you want to show them the vocabulary word and there it is in a real document a native speaker would use or would read? Or is it for something more? And if you're going to use Chateo, it should be for something more. And that is to show them a snapshot of the community. So when you're looking for authentic resources, you should try to find a resource that really takes a picture of the community, the people, the diversity, the challenges, the climate of the community, like what's happening right now, what's the heartbeat of that community. And I think that is a really powerful tool for us to be using. And I know teachers are in desperate need and can spend hours looking for the right resource. So I created that teacher forum I was talking about, and I'll show you that. And I'm hoping, like I said earlier in this presentation, that you can really be a part of the community and help establish this this community of teachers that's looking to advance world language. So I have to, wait, are you seeing this? Do you see this, or I have to share that tab? No, you could see this, right?
Yep, we can see that.
Okay, so this is the teacher forum, and you'll notice we have lots of different topics. Protecting animals. So if you open up this protecting animals tab, you'll notice that there are a bunch of links to authentic resources, and most of them are language organized. So you'll see like Spanish, Italian, French, but any teacher can post here. Let me show you, for example. So you click on this and I did the work for you. Look, maybe you want to use this. It's about animals and it's in the target language and it's an authentic resource. It's right there for you. I'm hoping that as teachers that really want to go the extra mile and do more with language, we can use this forum to build global citizenship and to really help one another in making world language what it should be, that tool that's going to prepare our students for the real world. So again, if you'd like to get to this from the website, it's just this globe up here. And you click on it and you could peruse, you could find, you could share. If you have an idea, you could just post it in the forum. This is only for teachers. So students do not have access to this portion of the website. This is strictly for us. Bully-free, empathy and awareness, art, innovations in different communities, peace and war, diversity, nutrition, human rights, poverty. These are all things that we should be talking about. And I'm hoping that you can find some resources to help you facilitate that in your classroom. So that's our teacher forum. I hope you find that useful. Let's go back to our presentation. And we're going to talk about the interpersonal, which on the Chateo website is called the Say What. So we've established a community. We're having them experiment. Now we're going to exchange. The interpersonal should really be spontaneous. It should be two-way conversation. And if you're using Chateo, it should be fun. So on the next slide, I'm showing you that we actually have games already set up for you. These little, you have to create the context, but we have these games already prepared for you that will facilitate spontaneous conversation in your classroom. And I'll go and show you an example right now. Where is it? This one? Yes. Okay. So here's an example. Wait, I probably have to do this again, share something else. And the tab is this one. No, maybe. Let's see. No, that's not it. Sorry. Wait, can you see this tab?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
We can see that how to use
Oh, this
Chateo.
you don't need sound anyway. So again, the yellow is the teacher. So I'm the teacher, and this is an example of a quick interpersonal activity you could do. End of class, to start off class, I wrote to the class, tengo fiebre, which means I have a fever. And
I
a
think
student
actually,
responded right
Daniela,
back to
sorry.
me and told me that you can't see it.
Daniela, sorry. No, we can see the how to use Chateo teacher guide.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Let me fix that for you. And I'm going to do my entire screen. So sorry, I apologize.
No, no
Thanks for your
worries.
patience.
No, that's
This one? Yeah. Okay, so now you're seeing the yellow with the tengo fiebre?
yes.
Okay, so I'm the teacher. I'm starting a say what activity. I type in the forum to the kids, tengo fiebre, which means I have a fever. Alexa, one student types immediately back to me, drink water, drink more water if you have a fever. And I go on, then I tell her another symptom, and it becomes, we're literally we're chatting. And normally I do it, the teacher says something and a student responds. And we just go on and on and on about this. You could even assign, okay, Alexa, you're going to work with Bobby, and Alexa and Bobby are going to have a conversation within the forum, and they could just find each other's name and respond back, and it becomes an interpersonal activity. So that's an example of a say what. I want to show you that list on the
Stephanie's
Chateo.
asking a question too, Daniela.
Yes,
She said,
Stephanie.
can you do this speaking?
You can do the speaking. I could show you an example of that.
She says, I would assume students would have to refresh a lot, or is it automatic spontaneously?
I will be honest with if you're going to do a voice recording, they do have to refresh, and it's not like that instant boom, boom. We're working on that to update that. We just don't have the technology right now to get that to work. It does work on our phones, 1, 2, 3, but it's a little delay on here with the sound. I do the sound. I'll have them demonstrate a conversation, and they're just recording their conversation, and then the students can hear that conversation in the forum, and then another student can respond. So Emily records something. I should just show you an example. Let me show you an example how we're doing it with voice, that you don't have to do that. It's spontaneous, but it's not like super spontaneous. So I have to go back here.
Yeah, okay. Unless it's sharing the tabs.
I'm just looking at what this tab is. Okay, so I'm gonna pick that tab. Share something else. So we're gonna show you which one. No, that's presentational. I don't know which one it is. It's too many tabs. Say what, Chateo? Maybe this one? Share. Oh, okay. Before I get to, I'll show you the example. I wanted to show you that these are all the interactive activities you could do. If you click one, so cat got your tongue. I want to do cat got your tongue. The directions for how to implement the activity are here. They pop up automatically. And then you create the context, like, oh, we're going to talk about body parts, or we're going to talk about ailments. And then, you hit create assignment, and the kids could start going and using that assignment. But let me go back to show you how you can use voice. It's this tab, and I have to find it. Okay. So let me try to get that tab open for you. Nope. This one. Let's see. I don't know. Nope, that's the wrong one. I am so sorry. Too many tabs. Oh, it's probably this one, maybe. I'm so sorry. Let me try one more time and then I will just move on. And Stephanie, I will try to show you that perhaps in an email, or we could link up some other way that I could show you that example. But I do have, it's there. I just want you to hear it. Maybe I could just show you it. So are you seeing, where is it? Yes, this one. Okay, are you seeing the voice recordings here?
No, we see the forum tab, I think.
Okay, let's do that again. Sure. Did I freeze? Uh-oh, I'm freezing.
Are you still there, Daniela? Did we lose you? Oh. I think we may have lost Daniela.
Yeah, she seems she's freezing right now, right?
Yeah, her screen
Oh.
is frozen. Oh, shoot. Oh. Oh, here we go. Just coming back in. Daniela, are you with us? Okay, let me remove the other one.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, no,
Just
that's okay. There we go.
Overload. Too much.
That's okay.
Okay. Let's try this again. Let's just go back to the presentation. All right, so that's a say what. And maybe I could just go directly from here. Here's an example. I found it. Okay, and now I could present it to you. That was the easier way to do it. I apologize. So, oh, it's going to ask me to log in. Forget it. Let's just keep going. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Stephanie, you can totally do that with voice recording. The student would just have to record, and then I usually assign them a partner. So Emily, you're working with Mary, and Emily, you're going to post something, and Mary, you respond, and it's all in voice. I apologize that I couldn't bring that up, but we're already over time. I don't know if I should continue. Should I continue? I have
That totally up to you. It looks like a few of our participants maybe have moved on with their evening, but what we could do is there maybe kind of a wrap up, something that could.
Yes. All right. So I'll just wrap it up quickly.
Yeah. And then if there's more that we want to show, we can always come back together. And Stephanie says could totally assign that as outside of class assignment.
Yes, absolutely. I do both in and outside of classroom, but you're right, Stephanie. Okay, so I'll just quickly wrap up. The third assignment that we offer is a show off. That's a presentational task. Some of you might think of a presentational task as a formal presentation in front of the class, or like a project, like a poster or something, but it really can be these mini presentational tasks. When you think about a presentational task, it's really important that you give the students an audience and a purpose for creating that task. And in some of the examples I've used, I'm using digital posters. So instead of glitter and markers and all that, you have them create a digital poster. And now I can't get in here, but digital posters, you could share them, and I wish I could show you, but I'm not going to take any more time with the show off. But maybe in a part 2, you could learn more about this show off and how I'm using digital posters and motivational videos, connecting with ELL students within my school to use them as an audience to present material in our language skills. We do have a chatterbox, which supports students with scaffolding and various supports like with vocab and grammar. And ultimately, what Chateo really should be providing is the 3 modes and endless opportunities to use the language, because Chateo is all about providing that digital space and fostering global citizenship. So to wrap it up, I'm doing this quickly. Speaking tasks really matter. If you're interested in learning more, we are offering professional development for world language departments anywhere in the nation. I thank you for your time. I apologize for going over, and I apologize for the technical glitches there. We do have to tweak some of our connections here. I apologize, but thank you for your time. Thank you, Elisa. That end.
Yeah. Oh, great. Thank you, Daniela. No worries about the time. No worries about the glitches. I think you're in good company here. We were all teaching during COVID. We know how this goes. You can only control Wi-Fi to a certain point. So please don't worry about that. Stephanie did have another question. She says, the chatterbox confuses me. Is it a chat mat?
It could be used as a chat mat. You could really use it for anything. It just should be this resource that they could open up in a new tab. And if they get a little, I'm not certain, I forgot what I'm going to say, rather than have them write it down and have something they're actually reading, it's just this little reference that they have that comes up that if they need to sneak a peek, oh, that's the word I needed to continue using the language. So it's just, you could visualize it as a digital chat mat, sure. But it has, expressions, vocab, grammar. It's very similar to a chat mat.
She also asks, does it play nice with Google Classroom?
I haven't seen any problems with it. You just open up a different tab and you just make a link to it too. So you could actually just copy the link to the chatterbox, and I usually pop it right into the Google Classroom, and they follow the link. It's like a document essentially that they're just clicking open.
Great. Any other questions or comments? You feel free to pop your camera on and unmute if you want to share a comment as well. Super excited about that teacher forum, Daniela. Go ahead, Amy.
Are we able to just give a try? Is there any any link we can use to just try it for free?
Yeah, absolutely. It is actually free to all teachers right now. You just go to chateoapp.com, sign up as a teacher, and you're ready to go, free of charge. All yours. Please join our community.
Okay.
Thank you, Amy.
Sounds good. Okay.
Great. Awesome. Well, Daniela, thank you so much for sharing your passion and your platform with us. This is definitely something that we need. I was talking about you today when I was working with the World Language Department. They were asking about quick speaking activities and where can they go for practice. And so this was very top of mind and something we're really looking for. So thank you for providing this.
I sincerely thank you for the opportunity to share. And I thank all of you for at 8:45, almost 9 o'clock, being with me here on Wednesday. You're dedicated without a doubt. So thank you very much for your time. And I hope to see you on Chateo.
Yes, awesome. Thank you so much.
Okay, take care. Have a wonderful evening, everybody.
Thank you.